Hello everyone, welcome to Coder Corner. I'm your host Harish. So in this video, we are going to look about errors. So the normal errors apart from the syntax errors occurrence in the Python. So there are many errors, but we are going to look into for the most common 6 type of errors which we will be facing at the initial and intermediate level Python learning. So let's get into the video. The 6 basic errors we are going to discuss about are zero division error, value error, index error, key error, name error, and type error. These are 6 most common occurrence errors. So we will be looking into the first one is zero division error. This one occurs in a case where any thing or any integer or float you want to divide with respect to 0, that's the when this error occurs. So let's look into it. So let's call this zero division function since it directly returns. Let's run it, and you can see it's a zero division error. So anything we are trying to do division with 0, that's how it occurs. So the next one is so you can see that here I'm declaring, so we can see it here in this I'm trying to convert a string into an integer, which is a not possible scenario where this is a not acceptable value for conversion of int. So it should be probably something in integers or float where this is possible. So when we run this, we would be expecting to get an value error. So let's look into it. So let's disable this and run this, and you can see it's a value error. So the next one we'll be looking into is index error. So I will explain all the 6 errors how it is, and I will also explain something called try and exception blocks, which will be how we will face or how to avoid these exceptions and what to do when this exception occurs. So yeah, let's look into the index error next. So in this list we are giving 1, 2, 3, but we are trying to return a list of 5, which is an index out of the range. So this is not an index in this range. So let's run it and see what error it throws. So it's an index error, as we are trying to call for index number 5, which it doesn't exist at all for this list. That's an index error. So in a sense, for any index which is being called outside the given range of it, it's called an index error. Next is a key error. So in key error, we are trying to call for a key which is not inside the dictionary. So here A, B, C are the keys, but we are trying to call D, which is not in the list of keys. So let's see what happens when run it. Key error D. So there is no key with name D. So that's the key error. Next is name error. So in this name error, we are trying to call some variable. Let us select x, something just randomly, and this x is nothing. We are not even defining what is x. We are just calling x a variable which is not defined previously or anywhere, and we are trying to return it. So it's not possible. So it's a name error. So we are, when any variable is not defined but is called, it goes for a name error. Then finally it's a type error. So this type error happens when we try to do an operations on different types and which doesn't seem to work. Here we are trying to return ABC plus 1. ABC is a string and 1 is an integer. This addition is not possible. So yeah, still if we try to do it, it will throw an error, type error. I think we have seen all the 6 types of main errors. So we will look into it how to eliminate these errors using try and exception blocks. So here we can see an example of try and exception. We try to return this one, else for exception of zero division error. In exception, we define the exact error name. In a sense, when this error occurs only, it will give this return statement. So then we are trying to print whatever this one returns. So let's see what is this happening here. Let us run. Cannot divide by 0. You can see this is the return statement occurring, not whatever the value here is. And let me show you one. As I said, that any other errors apart from zero division error will not be considered. It will not give this. So let me try to do this value error, introduce it here. Now run it. Still it goes to value error and not to any exception, because we have given specifically zero division error. Only this return statement is valid, else if it's not valid. Similarly, exceptions can be used for all other elements. So let me show you similarly for value error. So you can try this and run for this value error specific, run a statement and we can print it. So this can be done for all other type of errors. So let us see like what happens. Like let me run another exception, and this one is a generic exception. It will return some error. Let me say, in exception we can see that if it's like a general zero division error, we want to return this, but any other errors we want to just write something, or we can exception as E. So this is a thing, and I want to return E also. That is the whatever this specific exception happening here. So let us say in this one I want to see what error is actually happening. If it is apart from zero division, what error it is, it will show it some error. So value error is happening here, invalid literative for int with base 10. So it's actually explaining the complete error what is happening here. So we can use this exception as E and return it so that we can clearly see what error is happening. That's what it says. And we can go for something else called else. So what happens if none of the exceptions work and some other new one funds? So then we can return basically no errors. Let us say I'm expecting no errors. What happens if I give 10? So here we can see we can use an else statement where the zero division error is not working, and we want to run it and see, okay, no exceptions were raised as the try statement is working, and no exceptions are being fetched, and it will go to the statement where if you have multiple exceptions here, even like this value error, many exceptions can be written which are not being occurred, and it will exclude it. So let me give one more thing. Finally, this is something which will be executed even if the try is going on or not failing, but what are the statement in the finally will be executed irrelevantly. Yeah, so you can see no exceptions were raised. So what happens if I try to run an error? So the no exceptions were raised is still running, and it will as well as it's raising the error. So what I'm going to give for a zero division error now. So we know this is the one which should be running, and you can see it runs this. You can't, and as well as it runs this. This finally is something which will be run irrelevant to the try is working or not. So there are three different ways of expressing try, except, and except with a specific errors, and except with exception where you want to know the type of errors, and then the finally or else. In the else situation where none of the exceptions work, it will go to the else, and that whatever is given in that will be used, and finally will be executed irrelevant to try is working or not. So these are the basics of errors and try and exception statements. So if you do have any queries, please do comment in the below section, and please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Thanks everyone for watching.